Hello everyone, how you going? Welcome to 10 Canadian Inventions. Now every single country in the world would have added their own little thing, and so I'm interested to see what the Canadians can offer.
Canadians are very resourceful and have come up with some great inventions over the years. Here's a list of 10 inventions invented by Canadians.
Here we go.
Number 1. Time zones.
Okay.
Time zones were invented by Sir Sanford Fleming. Number 2. The BlackBerry. It was invented by Canadian Mike Lazardis.
Damn, alrighty then. Well, I just want to quickly go back to time zones with this guy. I don't feel like I've ever heard it because I want to hear his name again.
By Sir Sanford Fleming.
Sir Sanford Fleming, how the hell did you come up with time zones? Because I want to know, surely there was more than, I don't know, I mean, I guess it has to be linked to 24 hours in a day. But then for the time period that he's kind of is looking like he's going to be in, how the hell do you decide where is zero and where do you go from there? Do you go forwards, backwards, or just anything in between? And it does make me wonder, was there no such thing as time zones? Was it just like a world clock that everyone was running on? Kind of probably the British clock, if I had to assume anything. But I would like to know, they just kind of skipped right over it. When the hell was this guy around? Okay, so Sanford Fleming. Okay, makes sense. He's a Scottish-Canadian engineer and inventor born and raised in Scotland. He immigrated to colonial Canada at the age of 18, damn, and then he just went on to just, I guess, be a Canadian. But here we go, born 1827, died in 1915. Damn, for that kind of time period, that's a hell of a long life. Nearly, 90 years? Almost 88 years? But either way, the fact that was in the 1800s, and that's when they invented time zones. Obviously, that's not when time, our perception of time was invented, because when was the pocket watch invented? 1510. Yeah, okay then, there we go. So that really doesn't answer my question about how the hell he kind of just made up time zones and how he needed to make up time zones. I mean, it's certainly a good thing. It kind of makes sense as you're spinning around, you're going to have different points in time. At the same time, I guess if the entire world ran off one time, I'm sure it would still work in some ways. But then just going to the BlackBerry, I mean, it's a sad sight to see these days. Look at that thing. But man, was it ahead of its time for its time, I guess? Just having the full keypad, everyone was just all about that BlackBerry. You had some games on there. It was just so much more advanced. I would like to know, is it a smartphone or is it just miss out on being a smartphone? Kind of the iPhone was the first smartphone. I'm fairly sure that's not true, but that kind of thing is what I'm wondering. But no, it just takes some people just to go, hang on a second. It's just not as efficient as it could be. I'm going to make an entirely new device just to hopefully fix some things, and man, then you get a BlackBerry, and then a couple of years after that you get an iPhone, and then it just continues on from there.
While it might not be the most prevalent smartphone these days, it was one of the first. And people were walking around with their eyes glued to their BlackBerries long before they had their eyes glued to their iPhones or their Androids. Number 3. Wheelchair accessible buses. The first wheelchair accessible buses were invented by Walker Harris Callow in 1947.
1947.
He designed the bus to accommodate veterans who were coming back from the Second World War.
That's awesome. 1947, I mean, it just correlates obviously so well. And it almost looks like he was part of the military, and so he recognized some of the gaps in the entire system about, I don't know, just none of the veterans were able to go anywhere anymore.
A lot of these veterans had injuries that required them to use a wheelchair. Unfortunately, getting onto public transit in a wheelchair wasn't very easy. At least until Walker came along and invented his wheelchair-accessible buses.
I would love to see what the original one was looking like. I mean, maybe this one has been painted up a little bit, and that's basically what it looks like. But either way, I would like to see just the original kind of lift, all the hydraulics, if it was hydraulic or whatever it may be. I can only imagine it would have been so rudimentary. But hey, if it does the job, then it allowed people to get around. I just cannot be mad at that at all. That is so cool. And especially because I've never seen a wheelchair accessibility kind of lifter on the side, let alone just at the back of the bus. Because all of Australia's buses just have a little ramp and everything that can flip out if need be so they can get on, but I've never seen them actually have like a full hydraulic lift at the back of the bus. I mean, I guess some taxis have it in the back or the boot of the car, but never on the side. And so, man, I would like to know, is this like basically a direct replica of what he came up with? Because, man, either way, like I said, it just, if it works, it's good.
Let's move on to number 4. The electric wheelchair. Canadians really care when it comes to not allowing a disability to become a disadvantage. And this care was shown by George Klein in 1952 when he invented the electric wheelchair.
Man, that would have changed a lot of people's lives, just being able to all of a sudden have this freedom that you would otherwise not have, because a lot of people don't have the mobility in their arms anymore. And so to still be able to move around if you just have a little bit of dexterity in your hand, that would be incredible. Like the amount of kind of freedom change that would be compared to just not being able to move without assistance at all, compared to being able to, I don't know, you could even go to the shops and just kind of ride your wheelchair all the way down there. That'd be awesome. I mean, I'm fairly sure that this technology still isn't the cheapest. I mean, maybe that's because it just keeps progressing. Instead of getting cheaper, it's getting better. But I don't know. I guess there's still a ways to go. But either way, it's just an incredible invention. The fact that, no, I don't think he invented both, but that would be pretty cool. If he invented both the wheelchair, the electric wheelchair, and then the bus for it, that'd be incredible. And so perhaps just having an influx of disabilities in the entire kind of community just makes people just go, hang on a second, we need a bus to be able to transport them. We need a wheelchair to be able to get them from home to the bus so then we can transport them. But just all these different things, people are suddenly aware, and so they build things for it. It's incredible.
Number 5, the Canada Arm.
Ah, yes.
The Canada Arm is a giant robotic arm used on space shuttles. And more recently, it's been used on the International Space Station.
Okay.
As the name implies, the Canada Arm is a Canadian invention. And one of the people who helped this invention come to be was actually my own grandfather, Joseph Lackner. My grandfather was literally a rocket scientist and worked on batteries used in space. He's been recognized by the Canadian Space Agency, the US Air Force, and NASA. He also received an award from a former Canadian Prime Minister. As a little kid, I always thought it was really strange how he kept batteries in the refrigerator to help them keep their charge.
Wait, what? Putting batteries in the fridge the day before using them with double their lifespan? That is an incredible little life hack that I'm going to have to use at some point, hopefully. I mean, it's a little bit hard to know when you're going to need batteries because usually something runs out and then you need it. But hey, I guess if you can just prepare, then double their lifespan. That's an incredible metric. But no, going back to the actual Canada Arm, I've heard about it in terms of when we're looking on the currency, on the notes, because I was going, what the hell is that? And then they went, no, it's the Canada Arm. I mean, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what's special about it in terms of, does it do anything besides just kind of being a very would it be dexterous crane? But I don't know if there's anything extra special about it in terms of why it was kind of an invention, because I can only imagine something like this isn't too hard to manufacture or just kind of dream up. You know, you see any video of a modern factory and you just got the incredibly quick CNC orange robots building cars or computers or whatever it may be, but I would like to know just what is so special about it besides it being in space, because it being in space is a very special thing and obviously it has to withstand all the brutal environment that is in space. But just, yeah, like what is this head that it's got on it? Does it have interchangeable heads? Either way, there's a little bit more digging I think I have to do into this entire thing, but either way, I just got to give credit where credit's due. It seems like a very impressive invention considering it's on the note and people are talking about it, and this guy was recognized by NASA and the Air Force and a whole bundle of different things.
Number 6, the Snowmobile. I suppose it's fitting that a Canadian would invent the snowmobile. Joseph Armand Bombardier, a Quebecer, invented the snowmobile, unfortunately, because of a tragedy. During a blizzard, his young son got very sick, and because of all the snow, they couldn't travel to the hospital, and unfortunately he died. Monsieur Bombardier did not want that to happen to anybody else. So he invented the snowmobile. Now fortunately, these days we have things like snow tires and everything, so getting through a blizzard is not as hard as it was back then. Right. And the snowmobile has become more of a fun recreational thing.
Right, well I had heard the Heritage Minute about it, but I had never actually, I think someone's maybe said it in the comments and it's just rejogged my memory, but I completely forgot that it was a tragic environment that was built around the snowmobile. I mean, I would like to see the entire picture in this circumstance. I mean, it looks like it's got tracks on it. Yeah, here we go. In 1935, he developed this random little thing here. Honestly, it kind of just looks like a go-kart that might be built with a little bit of a sled instead of wheels in mind. Oh, here we go. I just found this image. That is an incredible contraption. Every other image was like 2 pixels by 2 pixels, but look at that. I would like to know if that was his first one ever, because it almost looks a little bit more advanced than some of the other ones that I was seeing, and so perhaps just a kind of motorized sleigh like he's got here is a little bit more down the line. But no, it's an incredible thing that he's gone, you know what, I just cannot bear to witness anyone else to be just stuck in the blizzard, not be able to get to their child just because of the snow, the damn thing. And so no, he just went, stuff this, I just need to build something. He's got the brain for it. I remember he just built like half of the world, this guy.
So he invented the snowmobile. Now fortunately, these days we have things like snow tires and everything, so getting through a blizzard is not as hard as it was back then.
Yeah, but I also want to know how the hell the snow tires work so well. I've never had to do anything with snow tires. I can only imagine these are snow tires, but then I guess I can see that they've got all these extra kind of grooves. It looks like it's quite a deep tread, or maybe not as deep as I'm originally thinking. Maybe it's just a brand new tire, but either way, it's obviously got all these little cutouts just for extra surface area, or I don't really know. And then the main thing that is throwing me off is just what all these kind of screw-looking holes as though you've just run over a box of screws. What are they for? I mean, obviously having all these little rubber nodules would be great if they stayed just a little bit more tread, I guess you'd call it, but obviously they just get ripped off very, very quickly. But no, I really just don't understand how you can have snow tires. I mean, I guess everything can be developed to all these little percentages and that makes a difference, but man, how is it different to just getting like a mud terrain or something like that?
Number 7, the snowblower.
Of course.
Speaking of snow, there are 2 Canadians who are credited with patents for early versions of the snowblower. Robert Carr Harris of New Brunswick is credited with the first patent. And Arthur Sicard of Quebec is credited with the first practical snowblower.
Well, I just want to look at this photo because that is incredible snowblower. I mean, to be honest, I don't think I've ever heard of a machine called a snowblower, but looking at this, I can kind of understand that it's meant to be clearing the road by blowing it off the road or something, accomplishing a similar task to a snowplow, but just by blowing it and kind of scooping it up and getting rid of it instead of just dumping it right next to where it just was. And I do love how they credited 2 people with the invention, because one was like, hey, well, this is the first one, but it didn't really work. And so then this guy came along and he made it so much better.
Robert Carr Harris of New Brunswick is credited with the first patent.
Yeah.
And Arthur Sicard of Quebec is credited with the first practical snowblower.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's just kind of similar to theoretical physicists versus, what are they called? Practical physicists? I'm not sure. Either way, you've got people that just kind of go out there, do all the theory, just go, yes, this is going to work. And then you've got people that go out and design it and build it and just make it actually work. Oh, they're actually a lot smaller than I thought they were going to be. I guess probably you can get some big ones that are towed behind a car or pushed in front of a buggy. But no, I didn't expect them to be so small. Is it all just to clear out your driveway and thinks, man, this guy's having a hell of a time? And to be honest, I can only assume that it would actually be a lot more fun than shoveling and just a lot more fun than virtually anything else. You just get to turn into a massive windmill of snow and just put it anywhere else but where you want it.
Number 8, the gas mask.
Damn.
During the First World War, Germans used poison gas against the Allied troops. Dr. Clooney McPherson, a Newfoundlander, modified a helmet taken from an enemy prisoner. Using this, he created a gas mask. His efforts saved British, Canadian, and other Dominion lives.
Wow. That is what we're looking at as the first gas mask. Honestly, I don't even know how I feel like that. I feel as though that's going to come back up in my nightmares. But no, what caught me off guard the most is just this photo. What the hell? How the hell did he get all the way to Egypt to then take that photo? Especially for the time, like how the hell did he of all people? He must have been fairly high up in the military, or I don't really understand how. It's blown me away. I mean, I would like to know just how the pipe and ventilation system works, because obviously it comes out here via the tube, but then does it go into some kind of filtration system down here? It must, and then just go and pass through like that. But I don't know, I feel like if the gas mask is looking like that, I don't know what kind of filtration unit you're going to be having that's going to be working.
Number 9, the Robertson Screw. That's right, that screw with the little square indent for your drill or your screw to get in there. It was invented by Canadian P.L. Robertson in 1908.
Fair enough.
And last but definitely my favorite on the list, number 10, the Egg Carton. I think this one's especially cool to us who are in the news media industry because it was invented by a newspaper editor. That's right, in 1911, British Columbian newspaper editor Joseph Coyle invented the egg carton. I love these interesting origin stories, and this one develops from a dispute between a local farmer and a local hotel owner.
What? Between a local farmer and a local hotel owner? Wait, I want to just quickly go back and figure out when this is. I missed when it was.
That's right, in 1911,
1911, yeah, I thought it was a little while ago, but no, now I just can finish off the story now that I know that it's 1911 between a farmer and a hotel owner.
Basically, this farmer sold eggs to this hotel owner, but when they showed up, they were all cracked. And I'm guessing the hotel owner was kind of like,
"These eggs are cracked. I will not receive these eggs. I want my money back."
And the farmer was like,
"Hey, look, man, it ain't my fault that the eggs got cracked. I wasn't driving the truck. Maybe you just cracked them so you don't have to pay for them. You expect me to fall for that old trick?"
What the hell was I just listening to? That was just painful. I wanted to listen to the story, and then all of a sudden I just couldn't bear to listen to it.
And it just kind of got messy. I mean, I guess it already had. The eggs got broken, and that's messy. The editor, Mr. Coyle, solved the problem by creating the egg carton, which allowed the eggs to be transported without jiggling all around and breaking so much.
Yeah. So does that mean they were just kind of transporting them willy-nilly just in the back of a truck or something before? Like you just kind of put them in the back of the tray, not really in anything, just allowing them to smash around? I mean, I can understand how the exact egg carton to be able to fit it all and mold it all together, that makes sense as to how you might not have that. But to not have that and just have it so they can just willy-nilly just kind of move around, do whatever the hell they want and just smash into each other, no wonder just people were having feuds because you would have lost so many eggs. And it certainly makes sense, you know, if you get a delivery from whoever, if it's kind kind of smash before it arrives to your house, you're going, hang on a second, that's not what I paid for. I want a working one, and so they have to take it back in a way. But then from the farmer's point of view, or whoever it may be, just the manufacturer's point of view, they're going, hang on a second, we still spend all the time and resources making these things, so somewhere along the line, someone's got to pay. But if you just make it so nothing ever breaks, hey, there you go, right like that. So really, I can only imagine that given the fact that the guy that invented it was working as a journalist, or was he a printer? I'm not entirely sure. As yeah, look here, it looks like he's actually part of the printing, not the journalism side. But either way, you're going to have a lot of kind of just offcuts and paper mache, and so you just kind of smush them down into an egg shape or the inverted egg shape, and then all of a sudden you've got an egg carton. It makes so much sense. But no, just going through them all, it was an incredible little video that just had quite a variety of things, you know, just starting off with time zones and then going to BlackBerry, finishing off with egg cartons and having a Canada arm in between. Like the entire thing is just crazy. And even just the fact that some of these things are so Canadian, or so obviously just kind of a product of their environment. You know, you got the snowmobile, you've got the snow blower, just all these things where you're going, I'm just not being bothered to shovel, and so I'm just going to make this absolute monster machine that just kind of blasts it just anywhere but here. I just don't want it here at all. I mean, I did kind of just skip over the Robertson head screw, which is an incredible screw, because if you do have the head of the driver just absolutely in there, then it is quite difficult for it to slip out in comparison to kind of stripping a screw with a Phillips head or anything like that. And hey, I also feel like the square kind of looks cool, you know, if you just make sure that everything's either a diamond or a square in the entire piece that you're building, then yeah, you can actually just make it look really nice. And so no, just a round of applause for everyone that is connected to this entire video, you know, just people that are just thinking about others after devastating events. And hey, I'm sure that there are just a million other inventions that could have made this list, but this was just a very concise list, 10 Canadian inventions, and I absolutely loved it. But anyway, in saying that, I reckon I'm going to call it there. So thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, feel free to do the YouTube algorithmic things down below. Also, if this is the first video of mine that you're watching, then make sure to check out just any other videos I've done. Also, make sure to go check out the original video down in the description below, or hey, maybe even just want to consider subscribing so that you don't miss another one of these in the future. But all in all, have a good one and see ya.